There is a particular kind of pain that almost no one talks about honestly. Not heartbreak, not failure, not even grief. It's that quiet, heavy feeling of looking around your life and thinking, I have no one. No one really gets me. No one really has my back. If I fall, it's just me. Maybe you have people around you, family, colleagues, acquaintances online, but deep down you still feel emotionally alone. You might be the strong one for everyone else, the listener, the problem solver, the one who gives the advice. And yet, when it's your turn to fall apart, you don't know where to go. If you're listening to this and something inside you is whispering, "That's me," then I want you to know this isn't the end of your story. Carl Jung would say, when you feel you have no one, life is often pushing you into the most important relationship of your entire existence. The relationship with your own self. Before we dive into that, let's make this moment feel less like a lecture and more like a real circle. Go to the comments and quietly write the city you're watching from, just your city, Nairobi, London, Lagos, Johannesburg, Toronto, Accra, New York, Sydney, wherever you are. It's a powerful thing to see how many people all over the world are listening to the same message, because they also know what it feels like to be the one with no one. And while you're there, if content like this junk psychology, spiritual growth, deep emotional healing speaks to your soul, take a second to like this video, subscribe, hit the bell icon, and share it with someone who might be feeling alone right now. You never know who needs to hear this. Now, let's talk about something no one told you growing up. Feeling like you have no one doesn't always mean you're failing at life. Sometimes it means you're transitioning into a new life. Sometimes it means you've grown beyond the people and patterns that once surrounded you. Sometimes it means you are being pulled out of old roles so that a truer version of you can rise. Jung believed that life has a deep intelligence. He called it the self, the inner center that is wiser than your conscious mind, constantly trying to guide you toward wholeness. When you feel like you have no one, it can feel like life is punishing you. But often from a deeper perspective, life is disrupting every false foundation so you can finally build on something real. The question becomes, how do you rise when you feel like you're rising alone? Not in a motivational poster way, not just think positive, but in a grounded, practical, soul-level way that Carl Jung would recognize as real psychological and spiritual growth. Let's begin where you are, in the loneliness itself. You might look at your phone and see no messages. You might scroll social media and feel like everyone else has their people, their partner, their community. You might go through your day doing what needs to be done. But inside, it feels like no one actually knows how heavy your life feels on your shoulders. The first thing you need to understand is this. Loneliness is not just absence of people. There are people who are lonely in crowded rooms, in marriages, in families, in churches and communities. Loneliness at its deepest is the gap between your inner world and your outer life. When who you truly are has no place to land, no place to be seen, heard, met, you feel alone, even if your contact list is full. So when you say, I have no one, you might actually be saying, I have no one who sees the real me, no one who asks how I am and is ready for the truth, no one I can lean on without feeling like a burden. And that hurts. For a sensitive, self-aware person, that kind of loneliness can feel like a slow erosion of the soul. But here is where Jung gently turns the mirror. If there is no one outside you holding space for your inner world, the first task is to stop abandoning it yourself. This isn't blame, it's an invitation, because many of us learn to do to ourselves exactly what was done to us. You feel afraid and you tell yourself, stop being weak. You feel sad and you say other people have it worse. Shut up. You feel exhausted and you say, keep going. No one else is going to save you. You have dreams and desires and you say, be realistic. Who do you think you are? We internalize the voices of the world and then repeat them to ourselves. So one of the most powerful ways to rise when you have no one is to stop treating yourself like no one. You start becoming the person who finally does what others never did. Listen to you, believe you, stand up for you, care for you. This is what Jungians call reparenting. It's the work of becoming inside the supportive presence you didn't consistently have outside. Does that magically erase the ache of wanting real human connection? No, of course not. You are wired for relationships. Jung knew that. We all know that. But if you wait to rise until the right people appear, you hand your entire life over to chance. So what does rising alone actually look like practically and psychologically? It begins with a decision. A quiet, not glamorous decision. I will not abandon myself anymore, even if the people around me don't know how to show up for me yet. That decision can show up in very small ways. It's you choosing to tell yourself the truth when you'd rather distract. It's you making a simple plan for your day so you don't drift into hopelessness. It's you going to bed at a decent time instead of numbing out until 3 a.m. It's you cooking a real meal for yourself even when no one is there to eat with you. These things seem small, but from a Jungian perspective, they're not. Every time you take your own life seriously, you send a message inward. My existence matters. My energy matters. My thoughts, feelings, and body matter, even if no one else is treating me that way right now. Rising in life when you feel alone is less about one big moment and more about a series of small, deliberate acts of self-respect. Now, let's talk about another painful piece. You might feel like you have no one because you spent years being someone for everyone else. The strong one, the fixer, the listener, the stable one. And then the silent question hits. Where is everyone now that I need someone? That realization can breed bitterness. And honestly, that bitterness is understandable. Jung, however, would invite you to look at the pattern with curiosity rather than just pain. Were you ever given permission to have needs? Did you ever show vulnerability regularly? Or did you unconsciously build relationships on the role of, I am the one who helps, not the one who needs help? This isn't your fault. It's adaptation. Many sensitive, deep people learn early that they are valued for what they give, not for who they are. So you lean into the giving. You become useful. You become the emotional center for other people's storms. But here's the cost. People unconsciously start seeing you as a role, not a human. They think you're fine. They think you don't need checking on. They think you're strong and independent. So when your life collapses, they don't automatically think she might need help. It's not fair, but it is a pattern. Rising when you feel you have no one means slowly stepping out of being a role and into being a person. It means practicing in very small ways what you were never taught. Asking, not begging, not over-explaining, not apologizing for existing. Just small, honest reaching out. Hey, I'm having a hard day. Could I talk for a few minutes? I'm feeling really low. Could we go for a walk? I could use a bit of company tonight. Are you free? And yes, sometimes people will be busy. Sometimes they won't show up the way you hope. That will hurt. But this is where Jung would say the goal isn't perfection. It's consciousness. You're not just waiting for the right friend to magically appear. You're becoming the kind of person who is able to be supported. You're learning the skill of letting yourself be seen in need. And that is terrifying for someone who has survived by being low maintenance and high capacity. Rising alone doesn't mean you never reach out. It means you are willing to reach out while also knowing that you are your own foundation if they don't answer. Now there's another layer, your sense of purpose. When you feel like you have no one, it's very easy to slide into. What's the point? Who am I doing this for? No one will notice if I rise or fall, and that's soul killing. From a Jungian lens, your life is not a random accident. You are not here merely to orbit other people's needs. Your soul has its own trajectory, its own pattern, its own story trying to unfold. Rising when you feel alone means beginning to live for something that's bigger than approval and company. This is where meaning comes in. Not abstract meaning, personal meaning. Ask yourself gently, if no one clapped, if no one posted about me, if no one fully understood my journey, what kind of life would still feel worthwhile to me? Maybe it's a life of creativity, writing, painting, building, making music, telling stories, teaching. Maybe it's a life of service, helping others heal from what you had to survive, supporting people who are where you once were. Maybe it's a life of learning, studying psychology, philosophy, spirituality, science, feeding your mind in ways no one around you ever encouraged. Maybe it's a quieter life, a garden, a small home, a simple routine, peace instead of performance. Jung believed that when you live toward your own meaning, you align with the self. That alignment doesn't remove loneliness, but it gives your suffering a direction. You're no longer just hurting, you're transforming. So practically, how do you grow this sense of meaning when you feel emotionally alone? You start where you are with the next right thing you can do. You choose one thing to commit to for the next 30 days that serves your future self, not your old cycles. It could be writing a page every day, walking for 20 minutes, reading 10 pages, practicing a skill you want for your future, recording your thoughts as voice notes, learning something that fascinates you. The point is not to achieve success overnight. The point is to prove to yourself, gently, day after day, I can show up for my own life, even when no one is watching, even when no one claps, even when I feel like I have no one. That builds a kind of quiet, unshakable self-respect. And self-respect is one of the deepest fuels for rising in life. Because when you respect yourself, you make different choices. You don't stay as long where you're disrespected. You don't beg for crumbs where your soul is starved. You don't throw yourself at people who don't care whether you rise or fall. You become more discerning with your energy. Loneliness then becomes less about no one wants me and more about I haven't found enough people yet who can meet me where I actually am. From there, something hidden begins to happen. Jung talked about synchronicity, meaningful coincidences that help guide your path. When you start aligning with yourself, even in small private ways, life has a way of sending you little confirmations. You stumble on a book that says exactly what you've been feeling. You hear a podcast that puts language to your inner world. You meet one person who finally feels like, oh, you're my kind of human. You receive small opportunities that match the direction of your efforts. These are not magic tricks, they're reflections. As you rise internally, the outer world slowly reorganizes around that new center. It won't happen all at once. You might go through a long season where it still feels like no one. But the more you choose not to abandon yourself, the more naturally you will gravitate toward and be recognized by people who are doing the same. Now there's one more hard truth we need to touch. Sometimes you feel you have no one because the people around you are simply not capable of meeting you at the depth you live at. If you are a deep-feeling, psychologically minded, spiritually awake person, your emotional and inner life might be far beyond what your current circle has ever explored. They might not be cruel, they might not be bad, they're just not built for the kind of conversations, honesty, and healing you crave. Jung would say you're moving into a different layer of consciousness. Rising in life then also means accepting that some of your rising will be away from certain people and patterns, not in superiority, not in hatred, just in recognition. I cannot keep shrinking my soul to stay in rooms that don't have space for it. This is where courage comes in. You may spend some time in between worlds, not fully belonging where you were, not yet connected where you're going. That in-between is brutal, but it is also sacred, because it's in that between space that you discover you actually can sit with yourself. You actually can survive the ache. You actually can build small pieces of the life you want without a full support system. Yet that discovery stays with you forever. So if you're listening to this feeling that ache in your chest, thinking, but I really do feel like I have no one, I want to speak directly to you now. You are allowed to be tired. You are allowed to cry about it. You are allowed to admit, I wish I had more support. That vulnerability doesn't make you weak. But after you've cried, maybe tonight, maybe later, I want you to ask yourself one brave question. What would rising look like for me this week with the resources I actually have? Not in 10 years, not when everything is perfect, not when you finally meet your people this week. Maybe rising for you looks like finally unfollowing accounts that make you feel less than putting your phone down after 11 p.m. and letting your body rest. Writing an honest page about how your life really feels. Googling one free resource course lecture video that feeds the life you want. Taking a walk instead of spiraling through the same thoughts again. Sending one message, asking for a small bit of support even if your voice shakes. Rising in life when you feel like you have no one is not dramatic. It is subtle, consistent, stubborn. It is you refusing to collapse into the story that says, because I'm alone right now, my life cannot move forward. Your life can move forward in quiet ways, private ways, invisible ways, and often those are the most powerful. Because by the time people turn around and say, wow, look at how far you've come, you'll know the truth. You rose in the dark when no one was clapping, when no one was checking in, when no one knew how much effort it took just to keep going. And yet you did. That is the kind of strength Jung would call earned, not imagined. You didn't get it from a quote. You forged it in the nights where it was just you, your thoughts, your pain, and the tiny choice not to give up on yourself. As we close, I want to ask you two things. First, go to the comments and tell me what is one small way you're going to choose to rise this week, even if you feel like you have no one. And don't forget to add your city so you can see in black and white how many souls around the world are walking this same internal path beside you, even if you've never met second. If this spoke to something inside you, remember to like this video, subscribe, hit the bell notification, and share it with someone who might be in their own quiet battle right now. You may feel like you have no one, but your story is not over. Your soul is not finished. And the part of you that pressed play on this video today, that's the part of you that refuses to stay on the floor forever. That's the part of you that Jung would say is guided by something deeper. Trust that part. Feed that part. And one day you'll look back on this season, not with fake gratitude for the pain, but with real respect for the version of you who rose anyway when she had every reason to quit.